And welcome to this segment of TI Now right here on the floor at TIA 2013. We're joined here at the desk with James Feger. He's the Vice President of Network Strategy and Development for CenturyLink. And James, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Abe. I appreciate that.
Sorry about pounding the table there. You can probably pick that up on the mics pretty easily.
It's all good.
I'm excited. You just came off a keynote just a couple of hours back. I want to go over a few of the points there. But first, give me a quick kind of synopsis or elevator description of what CenturyLink does.
So CenturyLink is one of the largest carriers in the country. We are a cloud and hosting provider as well through our Savvis business unit. Traditionally, we operated as a LEC in 37 states. It's a combination of a few companies, CenturyTel, Embark, Savvis, and Quest. And so we're going through the integrations that we've been going through for the last few years, and we're a managed service carrier.
Now, one of the topics you focused on that many others have focused on as well at this conference and previous conferences is software-defined networking. I would say 9 out of 10 people say that software-defined networking will very quickly transform our industry, but you say not so quickly. Why is that?
So software-defined networking, or SDN, is definitely going to transform how the business works for us today. It'll transform the way we serve products to our customers. I believe, though, there is a hype around it right now. It's kind of the current buzzword. Everybody's in love with it. To get us where we need to be, there's a lot of work ahead of us. There's a lot of effort that needs to come through from our vendors, through other carriers, my competitors and peers. And I believe it's still a couple of years out before we can say across an entire footprint we have an SDN-enabled network.
Now, of course, there's another technology similar to SDN, but many would argue vastly different, but that's much more feasible to be rolled out sooner than SDN. It's called Network Function Virtualization. Can you tell me why you think so?
So NFV, Network Function Virtualization, is something that a lot of the cloud providers are already doing today. It's truly taking a function of a network and virtualizing it. And as you look back at some of the functions in these networks, a lot of them were already based on a compute-type platform, just repackaged as a special appliance. So if you take a function such as a firewall or a CDN infrastructure, you can readily virtualize those and serve your clients today with those. So I think while SDN is kind of a couple of years out, NFV is a today technology for us. As far as how they interact, they are two very separate things, but they work together. You can have one or the other, but together you get the most benefit.
I think another topic you may have mentioned in your keynote, but maybe not, but we discussed before we got on this session or segment, was how you treat your device as far as your personal device in comparison to your device at work. Bring your own device was something else that we talked about. Basically, your security on your personal device. Was that a topic that you mentioned in your keynote?
I did not. I did have a bullet point that essentially says the consumer user is the business user. If you think about the habits that you go through in your daily regimen, your habits both in your personal life and how you interact with your friends and family are starting to become the way you interact with your coworkers and peers. It's no longer a phone call, and it's even becoming less of an email. It's more of text messaging, social media. It's instant real-time messaging that you're starting to see. And so as people go into that world, they're getting devices where they can do all of those things, both professionally and at home, and it creates a very big risk from a security perspective. For example, if you have a Facebook account on your phone, your Facebook account globally gets hacked, you now run the risk of other information leaking back and forth. And so when you have professional information, you have personal information on the same device, all of it's at risk equally. So that's a challenge for us. It's something where we need to focus as an industry, and it's a place where personally you need to think about it, because you're putting your life in that device.
James, I want to talk about virtual data centers, virtual networking. Yep. Clearly makes our business processes more efficient, less costly, less CapEx, less OpEx. But there's one issue that I don't feel like is being discussed enough, and that's the issue of latency.
Yeah.
When you put your data center up in the cloud, you assume that you're going to get optimal service. You have a managed service provider that's going to give that to you. But there's clearly a latency issue. Can you talk about that a little more?
Yeah, I mean, so there's a belief that when you host things in the cloud, that the experience has to be the same as what it was when it was on premise or within your own data center. That's an absolute fair and valid concern. one of the ways you solve that is you start edging out your services. So your data centers no longer are consolidated in big buildings in a few cities. You start seeing compute platforms getting distributed throughout your network closer to your customer. The only real way you're going to solve latency with today's current technology is through accelerator type products or through reducing the distance between the customer and that infrastructure.
James, I want to ask you one final question. It's on policy surrounding cloud deployment in virtual technologies. You talked again in our pre-show about the industry coming together to solve these, I guess, policy hurdles, if you will. Yep. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, I mean, so as a consumer, I talked about you're blending personal life and business life together. You also have expectations of what your service can be, regardless of who your provider is. In our industry, good or bad, a lot of us are viewed in the same light from our customers. And there are a lot of policies in place. There's a lot of history with where these companies came from, what their pedigree is. Are they wireless, wireline, telco, cable, new startups, where we are operating under different assumptions and different rules, and we are starting to run into a situation where the network is converging, the customers are converging, but the policies haven't yet gotten there. And so as an industry, this is not a single challenge for one company to solve or one entity to solve. We have to get together and we have to say what's best for the industry, what's best for the customer. And it's really rallying together, honestly putting some of your own opinions and differences aside and working to get to a better experience for everybody.
James, we appreciate your participation in TIA 2013, and particularly the keynote address. And thank you for your time and talking to us here at the desk at TI now.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity. It's been a fantastic show.
James, appreciate it. And thanks for watching our continued coverage of TIA 2013 right here at the Gaylord National in Washington, D.C. Again, as always, for more information on how you can still attend, please log on to TIA2013.org. And to follow us on Twitter, please go to TIA_now. So long.